Crap.
It's the Rockies.
Hold up, give me a second. So I haven't been recording this whole time, right?
I never heard it do
Okay.
that
Nope.
at the
All right.
beginning.
Let me just. All right. Uh,
Start
hello,
over.
everyone. Sorry about that. Hello, everyone. This is. Let me start again. Hello, everyone. This is day two, week two of India Evening Awakening Platoon. I guess I haven't been recording for the last hour. Oops. Sorry, guys. That's definitely a big mistake on my part. Sorry. Intro to Python. That's what we're covering. Thank you for bringing that up, Scott. Sorry about that. Actually, that's never happened to me before, but hey, we make mistakes. That's okay.
Purely selfish. You mind going
Oh,
over that import func tools with the dot reduce method again?
yeah. What is this right here on line one? It's just an import. I'm bringing in from the Python language, they have certain modules or libraries, right? I brought it in, right? And this tells me, right, that this package has this function in it called reduce, right? And I want to call this reduce function with this anonymous function, right, where you want to add, right? And I want you to act upon my list. This doesn't have to be add, right? This could have been multiply, right? And then my answer is what?
Six.
It's just six. That's too funny. Let me add another number. Let me just remove. I just give zero, right? It's gonna be zero, right? There you go. Because anything times zero is zero. There you go. Make sense? We don't expect you to know all this stuff yet. We're just introducing it, and eventually you'll run into it. Uh, another list method. Another method is just sort. It sorts by. You can tell it by what to sort with. That's what you see here. This is sorting a list of dictionaries, right? And it's telling this sort method to sort by age. What does K represent here? It represents every what?
Key.
No.
Is that every instance of age?
No.
List.
No. What's K representative of? Read the entire line. It gives it to you.
Oh,
Is it
I
the
guess.
value?
Don't guess.
Okay, I think that whatever that name, age, and job is called, would that be like
It
each
says it
object?
right here.
Okay, age.
K must be what?
The value of age.
No, that doesn't even make sense.
Is K like the numerical value of the age?
No,
I'm kind of stumped.
it's just the object, guys. K is the object. How do I know that? Because K age, you're literally grabbing the key of each object. Right?
It is okay.
It's every object. It's a list of objects.
That's what I said.
Good, Andrew.
List.
No, it's not a list. It's the object.
Yeah, I didn't get it.
All right. All right, cool. Here, slightly different built-in method, sorted, right? It's passing people, which is a list, right? It wants to sort by age, and then it's passing This other argument, as in reverse true, it just means, hey, sort it, but in reverse order. I'm not going to get into it, but there's a slight nuance difference between sort and then sorted. I'll let you guys figure that out. I don't think it's worth time for me to mention it. But here you see this sorted and then sort. They're different, and they do slightly different things. Do they both sort? Yes, right. But the way they do it is the way that data is stored is slightly different. So you guys can figure out the difference there. This is zipping a dictionary. What is this doing?
Is it creating a new list? Pretty much?
Yeah, it's creating a new list of tuples with what mixed in.
I'm sorry, what was that?
What's mixed in the new list?
It's called integers and strings together.
Yeah, right. It's just zipping them right one after the other, and it's grabbing the first index, throwing it in a tuple, the second index, throwing it into tuple, the third index, throwing it into a tuple. Right. So this is zipping two lists, right? This will allow you to create a dictionary, right, from two lists, right, where the first, the string of the first list will be the key, and the first element of the second list will be the value, right? And that's what it's showing there. Definitely just mess with them, right? I'm throwing a lot at you. So don't worry if you don't get everything the first time. Try except. Is anyone familiar with this?
Yeah, that one I am. If this doesn't work, print this.
Yep, exactly. This actually is slightly more advanced. You can kind of ignore this for right now. Typically, you'll just see this, right? In which case, it will try to do what's in the try. And if any of the try doesn't work, it'll automatically hit the exception, right? You see this a lot. What's the JavaScript version of this? Anyone know? It's almost identical.
Is it just worded different?
Something with catch.
Yeah, it's a try catch. Same idea. Right. This gets a little bit fancy, right? I'm not going to get into it because I don't think you really need to know it right now, right? But if this isn't true, right, it goes into slightly other conditions, right? Kind of like a big fancy if else, right? And then does a couple other things. All right, modules, packages, libraries, frameworks. Dude, I swear I didn't even read this, but this is pretty much what I've just been saying, right? And when we get into like downloading like node modules for our projects, you'll see that once you download them, you can go in there and actually edit some of that code. Not recommended, but you could just to kind of mess around with it and see how it all works. This kind of just talks about package managers. I'm not going to get into that. I don't think that's really particularly important right now, but we'll get into it later on. Python modules are simply files with the py extension containing Python code that can be inside and can be imported into another program. This reminds you of what?
GitHub.
This reminds you of
No, the
functools, right?
Yeah.
This is exactly what we just messed with, right? Remember we were talking about it? Hey, import functools. This is importing file 1, file 2, right? Make sense? Here, let's do this. Let's call this index. Let's call this index1.py. We'll go index here. Oh, there we go. All right. Index one has how many functions?
Two.
Yeah, just two functions, right? And then I can go into index one, right? Actually, let me name them properly because that's going to mess that up. Is it file one? And this is file two. Oh. Okay, cool. So here, I'm going to import file one, right? As anything is you just name it. You just give it another name that you want, right? And then I import trying to figure out what they did here actually. Let's figure it out. If I run file two, what am I going to get?
Say goodbye function runs.
So it's
File
going to,
one.
so let's look at it.
Bye-bye.
That's, boom. All right, so these are both my files, right? So I'm importing file one into here. So I'm going to run file two, check what I get.
But it prints both.
It says, hey there, right? This ran, and then say goodbye. This also ran, right? What if I comment these two things out? That's actually kind of confusing. Let's just do one at a time. Cool. All right, let's run this again. It says goodbye, right? What's line 3 doing?
You're called it as a
Say that again.
line. The line trigger for the file one as a
Yeah,
line.
it gave it whatever name, right? Sometimes you have special naming conventions, but this can be almost anything, right? You could just rename it. Forgot what I was even saying. Almost anything. There you go. And this actually doesn't change anything. Right, so bye-bye. Right. But you could also not give it a name, right? Will this work? Yeah. You can just give it, you can kind of just change the name of it, right? To fit whatever convention you're using. But you can import the file and just grab the function.
If you have line 4 active and 3 commented out, would that mean you can't call the say hello function?
Ask that question again. That's actually a really good question.
Yeah, if you comment out line 3 and then bring back line 4, is line 4 basically only importing the say goodbye function, so you couldn't actually use the say hello function from file 2?
Correct.
Okay.
This is actually kind of a sloppy way to do it because this brings it everything from file 1, right? I'm bringing everything from that file because I didn't specify. So I have both. However, if I only needed one, you just import the one that you need, right? Go ahead.
Can you do that? Can you run the file if it's in a different directory? And then
Yeah, absolutely. Eventually, you'll have like a bunch of nested directories, and the whole path will be a mess.
And it'll find it still.
Yep, as long as your path is right.
You just make the path reference.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. You have like real crazy stuff like import, I don't know, bavsecOps dot lambda dot some stuff. Important function. You start getting real crazy stuff like that. That's just importing, just code. File paths, we kind of talked about it a little bit right there. We created 2 files, has to say hello. We just kind of showed you how that works. We actually just kind of touched on this, right? File paths, as long as your file path is fine, you should be able to find what you need. Oh, something I've noticed, guys, when you name your folders, don't use spaces. Can anyone tell me why? Sometimes I'll see like Code Platoon as a folder name. Can anyone tell me why?
Then you have to add quotes around it, and some of them get funny about quotes.
No, you don't necessarily have to add right quotes.
When you're accessing another terminal, it thinks it's an argument. I've done it so many times.
Yeah, you can't. Computers are not good with spaces, guys. They can't really read spaces, right? So this should always be like an underscore or a hyphen. Typically just those two. Or it can be like camel case, Code Platoon, whatever. Stop using spaces in your folder names. I think I had a guy like when I was a TA just many moons ago who couldn't get it to his right directory because there was a space on it. And Manisha, what you were saying, that's what happened. He just couldn't get to it. He could see it, but for whatever reason, he couldn't get to it. Oh yeah, it's got a space on it. So just from now on, just don't use spaces in anything in your directories. In Python, the OS library helps you access some of the operating system's functions. This is just importing another module, get the current working directory. Yeah, we can do that. We can Python file 1, py. What happened here?
You gotta print it.
There you go. That's my directory, which is right? Because this is my little alias for my computer, my desktop, and I just created a folder called Python for this class. There are 2 different kinds of file paths, absolute and relative. Absolute paths always begin at the root folder of the computer. Relative paths are relative to the working directory of the Python file that is being run. This is really, really, really important and the cause of a lot of heartache for new devs, right? Absolute paths from the root, relative paths, the path of that specific import to the file that's importing it. What are the 2 tenets of Linux?
Who
Where
and
you
where?
are,
Who you are and
Where you
where
are.
you
where you are, right? This is a classic example of where you are. You always have to know where you are. And very early on, you'll run into a lot of problems, right? Because you'll be trying to execute a file, right? And you're in the wrong directory, or you're wondering why some of your stuff doesn't work, right? Only to realize that eventually, right, where your program is looking, that specific thing doesn't exist. Or a very common problem where you're trying to execute some code on some server and it's not executing, it's not finding it, right? And then you realize that the things that should have been downloaded, right, never downloaded. So ergo can't be found. Make sense? Can't find something if it wasn't downloaded properly or it doesn't exist. We'll talk about reading and writing files, something Python's actually really good at. This is just a syntax, right? This is opening. Where is this opening this file example txt? This is just based on where?
The current directory.
Yep. Just current directory. And this one is just based on the total path of the machine that it's running on. All right. So when I go to, that would be an absolute path for my computer, as opposed to um, if I had, this is kind of a bad example, but it is as opposed to if I just had like a folder with like a working application, it'd be relative just to a folder called Python or something, or Python app. This is just you're gonna do a lot of this reading from files. So don't worry about that so much right now. Just know the big thing to understand about this is just absolute and relative path, relative to the working directory that you're working on, and then absolute based on your machine. And the machine one's actually going to become incredibly important because it won't be just your machine; it'll be like the machine that your application is running. Does that make sense? Right, like right now your application is running locally, but it won't always be running locally. Sometimes it'll be running like on a server, like an EC2 on AWS or somewhere else, or on a server like that your company owns. Make sense? Yes? Cool. Conclusion. Python is a readable and expressive language. You should all be really good at Python because your technical assessments, I always recommend taking them in Python just because it's a really easy language to learn and it has a lot of like really high speed built-in methods that make you very fast when you're coding. So pretty much everyone that's a dev everywhere should be really good at Python because that's what I would recommend you take your technical assessments on because it's just fast. Right. When you get into those technical assessments, speed is of the essence. Make sense? So wherever it is that you go, you should be really good at whatever their tech stack is, right? And Python. Make sense? Whatever their tech stack is and Python. Also, Python's really big right now because of all the LLM stuff. All right. Sorry, guys, I just blasted you for like 90 minutes, most of which wasn't recorded, so that's not great. Probably get another write-up. That's okay. So let's look at your assignments for today. After this, definitely take a good break. But let me look at your assignments real quick. For the 12th, it's 99 bottles, factorial, Fibonacci, test my calculator, Roman numerals, and linear search. Go ahead and actually, I'll go ahead and make a note of this now. I'll put it in the India channel. Give me 1 second. Let me actually stop sharing, but I am gonna put an order of your homework that I think you should tackle it in. Homework for November 12th. I'm going to send this out. This is the order that I would tackle it in. And the order that I'm giving you is just easiest to like what I believe to be the hardest. All right. What I just posted is not mostly easiest to hardest, but also in the order that I think you should tackle it in. Make sense? But definitely take 20, 30 minutes, take a break. Sorry. Just kind of, I try not to go past an hour and I just kind of kept going. I'm gonna do better with that. Tackle it in that order, take a break, come back at like 7:30. I'll open the breakout rooms. I'll make sure to give everyone the ability to choose their room. I won't mess that up this time. So that's all I have. Start in that order I would recommend. All right, break time.
Hey, that's today and tomorrow, right? Like the 6 assignments, it's three a day.
I mean, look, great question. You are absolutely right. I'm going to break it down by days. I'll fix it right now. Thank you for that. Sorry, when I was looking at it, it just looked as one big one. I was like, that did seem like a lot. All right,
I'll let
cool.
my heart stop beating now.
All right, pause. Alrighty. I think I went to pretty much everyone's room. I think there might have been maybe one of you I didn't get to because you were with someone or another TA. Let's go over a couple of things that I saw. Share. Boom. Can everyone see my screen? Yes?
Yep.
Yep. All right. First issue, if you're a Windows user, this terminal needs to be Weasel right here. And you can set the default here. Select default profile. Right. See how y'all have bash and ZSH tmux? Select default. It needs to be Weasel. Right. I'm still seeing a lot of like mixed matched terminals. Right. That's going to cause a lot of issues. Right. Especially when you're opening your repos. So make sure that they match. If one of them is messed up, just use the terminal in VS Code. Right. That's going to be your best bet. And remember, you can drag your folder into VS Code and open it that way. You don't have to do the code dot if it doesn't work for you. Make sense? Yes?
Yep, makes sense.
All right. Factorial challenge. We're going to speed run these real quick. Factorial challenge. What do you think is the most common way that I saw this solved?
Using a while loop.
Yeah, a lot of people solved it a while loop, right?
The top factorial method that's built into Python?
No, but someone did mention that. I hope you didn't use that.
No, I'm just kidding.
But the most common way was just a while loop, right? How did it go, roughly? Anyone remember?
Is it
I'm assuming maybe infinite loops.
No.
Are you asking like how did everyone usually like?
This is the most common way that I saw it solved, right? Something like num, right? And then you did something like result equals 1, while while num is greater than 1, result, and then like num minus equal 1, something like this. Return result, something like that. That's the most common way that I saw it solved. I didn't think it was great. Can anyone tell me why I didn't think it was great?
Because of infinite loops.
Nope, that's not the reason. You're probably not going to guess, so I'm just going to tell you. You just copied the code somewhere. This is the most common thing that you see online, or probably the most common thing you're going to get from one of the LLMs, right? You know what's strange? I didn't see a single person. Well, actually, I saw one, but they used a high order function. I think it was Scott. That's how I know Scott did it the right way, right? He used something that we learned in class and he flushed out a list and then he multiplied it, right? But what I didn't see was something like this. which what I would expect. I didn't see a single solution like this. What that tells me is that you guys are so high speed that you just skip this step. This is how a beginner programmer would have solved it without using any ChatGPT or any online, right? While loops are hard for beginning programmers, right? It would have been a hard thing to do. Like the decrementing thing, whatever, you went straight to a product equals 1, right? That wouldn't have been how a normal programmer solves it, right? It would have been something like this. I didn't see a single person solve it like that. Give it a little bit more effort to not look at some of the previous solutions, right? Because you're going to learn a lot less. This should have been probably way more common than 0 people. Does that make sense? Right, this makes perfect sense. Think it out. Okay, what's factorial? Okay, I'm counting these numbers. Okay, well, if I created a list and I just, push them or append them, now I have a list. I can print the list. Okay, I have all my numbers, whether it's 4, 3, 2, 1 or 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Okay, cool. I could just loop over again, right? Multiply them all or even reduce them if I was already familiar with that, right? And then return the result, right? That tells me that you can break down the problem. Make sense? I should see this more often, at least initially. So that's factorial. Fibonacci sequence. What do you think the most common way I saw this solved was?
Probably a for loop.
That was not the most common way I saw it, oddly enough. Recursively. What are the 2 elements of a recursive solution? Anyone? And I asked this to about a third of you.
A
Nobody could
base
get this
case.
right. There you go, Michael. What is it?
One of them's a base case. Actually, Sam taught me that.
Nice
We were
job,
working
Sam.
on that one together.
Okay, so recursive. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just giving a shout out to the shout out.
All right. There's only 2 elements to a recursive solution: a base case and a recursive call. Right. I asked a handful of you. You know who you are, right? What that line was. You weren't able to tell me. They told me you actually don't understand that solution, and then I proceeded to tell, hey, just use a loop. We're not at. I think a lot of us are not at the recursive point in our ability to solve coding challenges. So stay away from it for right now, unless you already mastered your loops. Make sense? Yes. And I'll give you another reason. Recursive solutions are hardly never, like 99% of the time, not the most optimal solution. You're just not going to use it. It looks slick. It's, a small amount of code, right? But it's very, very inefficient way to write something if there's any other way to write it. So you're in production, like when you're a dev, you're going to use recursive solutions like never. I've been a dev for almost 4 years. I've used it once. And that was because there's no other way to solve that problem. Does that make sense? You're just going to try to avoid it. It's like nested loops. Sometimes there really is no better way, right? But you're just never going to want to do it. That type of solution will get scrutinized very heavily because they're going to be like, are you sure? Because this is not great. All right. So that's the most common way that I saw. What should have been the most common way? Anyone know?
A for loop.
For loop and doing what?
Appending it
A
to
nested
a
for
array.
loop.
No, you don't need a nested for loop at all. Let's pseudocode it. What would have been the most common way someone that was new to programming would have solved it? Look at the challenge. What are you trying to do?
You'd make an array because you're referencing two numbers and then just keep updating those numbers, starting out with 0 and 1.
Okay, so you are going to create an array, right?
Yeah,
All right, but you have
Those
the
are-
first two numbers, right?
the base numbers are 0 and 1.
Right?
Yep.
Cool.
Yep, and then you're doing
Now
the
what?
sum of index 1, or you're doing the sum of the previous and the current. So you would iterate through that and keep updating those indexes.
All right. How about this? I'm gonna print fib list. I'm gonna print fib list I here. Let's do it how I think would have been probably the right way to go about this. All right, list. All right, and if I just print Fibonacci, I can never spell it. Let's do Fibonacci of 10. Sure. Okay, if I run this, Python file 1, I get 0, 1, none. Why am I getting the none? Anyone?
You're returning nothing.
Yeah, but what's happening here? I'm going out of what?
Out of range.
Yeah, I'm going out of range. So there'd be -1, right?
Mhm.
0 and none. Yeah, not quite right. Can anyone read what goes in here? If I just have the length of fib, what's that gonna, Python's gonna read that as what?
Wouldn't that just read it as like the length of how long your array is?
Yeah, but what's implicit, right, is hey, start at 0, go to the length of the list,
Right.
and go by
And
1.
then go by 1. Yeah.
Notice how that's implied, right? But if I didn't know enough of Python, I wouldn't know that, right? So that's what it says. And the easy way to remember it is start, stop, step. Start, stop, step. And in this syntax, if you don't put a start or a step, it's going to assume at the beginning and go by 1. Right? All right. So let's just do this. Just leave it like that, 0, 1. Don't worry about the none for right now. The length, it's giving me my two indexes, right? But here, what do I really want to do here?
You want to find the value at that index?
All right, I have the value at that index is this right here, right? But I want the value of that index I already have right here, right? That's the value at that index and which other index?
The index
I
before it.
minus 1.
And the index before it? So that would be what?
I minus 1.
I minus 1? Okay. I minus 1. Cool. I could actually just print total here. Let's see what am I getting here on every iteration? Let's see it. Getting 1, 1.
Oh, shit.
Getting 1, 1. Is this right?
for 0 and 1.
Yep, that looks right. What if I push that total? Right? What if I fib list append total?
Total.
Right? And here, instead of printing what's in there, I just print the list every time. What should I get here?
Zero, one, one, and one. Oh,
Getting 0, 1, 1,
and then
and 1. What's wrong with the last one that I'm appending?
it should be 2.
It should be 2. Why is it not 2?
You subtracted 1 from it.
I'm not subtracting, I'm adding a 19. Am I not?
But you're appending, so you're appending the list.
I'm appending what to the
You're
list?
extending the list, so
Yeah.
every time you go through, you're extending the list. What you want to do is stay within the boundaries of 0 and 1, so you want to update the total. The total will become the last number, which is
Yep.
index 0, and then the new number is going to be
No, it'd be the
index
last
1.
index of the list,
Oh,
right?
sorry. Yeah.
Okay, so what is wrong with this? This is 4 lines of code. Someone tell me what's wrong with it. This is pretty close. I'm doing what I want to do. I'm adding a total to the end of my list. So what's wrong here?
I mean, if you want, you could append it and then pop one of them out.
No, I just want to
or
create the
replace
entire
it.
Fibonacci series, right? Look at what I'm getting here. Hey,
Yeah.
this is the sequence. Why don't I just map out the sequence and then I could just return the last one or whatever? What is wrong here?
I don't know.
Let's see.
All right, let's walk through this because we're running short on time. I'm going to break it down. We need to get a couple minutes on the last problem. All right. I have a list of 0 and 1. They gave me those, right? I'm going to iterate starting at the beginning, right? So on the very first iteration here, this is 0, right? And this is what?
If that's 0, that should be -1. If that's the case, if I is 0.
You guys catch it?
We have to do I plus
Yeah, you
1.
gotta start out at 1. Your counter, yeah, it has to start at 1.
Let's try that. Okay. So this starts at 1, so it's 1 plus that is 1, right?
Yeah. I was thinking you start at 2.
So
but-
now you gotta, at the bottom, total, you're gonna do, now that you got the total there, you want to update for the next iteration, you want to update 1 plus 1. You want to update it with, you want to update 0 with the current total, because that's going to be the past number in the next iteration,
No.
so that you can add the next one.
What do you think is happening here? This is the last question for you. What do you think is happening here? I'm stopping short here. All of a sudden, I have one less element in my list, right? Starting at 1 makes sense, right? But what's the issue?
Would you put instead of the 1? No.
You got to update the array every iteration. And that's
That's pretty close to the answer. I'm going to leave it right there. I slacked you that challenge because we're running out of time. But whoever said that last thing, that's pretty close to the answer. Figure out why that's happening. And that's how I would expect someone new to more or less solve it. Make sense? Here's another thing. When someone solves something, it's actually kind of pretty easy if someone to understand. I'll actually leave that to the end. Try to solve it like this, right? That's going to teach you a lot. Try to debug this with no help, right? You're really close. And the last one is 99 bottles. I saw only a very few people had gotten this far, which is totally fine. The most common mistake that I saw is people using more than one loop. You only need one loop. You need one loop and a couple if-else statements. That's it. If you have more than one loop, you are wrong. Make sense? You can use template strings because most of the words are the same, right? There's only a couple things that change, right? The number, right? And then I think if it's 0 or 1, or I can't remember, one of them is bottle of beer, one bottle of beer.
Yeah, the plurality.
Yeah, there you go. And that's one of the edge cases. One bottle
What's your
of beer.
thought on while versus for on this one?
The real answer, if you stick to kind of like what we discussed, right? You know how many bottles you're going to iterate, right? 99. A for loop will work. Have I seen it with a while loop? Yeah. Almost all of them you can mix and match them. But I think sometimes when people use a while loop is because they don't. A lot of the times they don't know the code that they're writing and they probably just copied it. Right? You can't tell me why you used one loop over the other. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I always use while loops because I assume it's going to be like a user input that I'm dealing with. Is that wrong?
Yeah, it's wrong. You need to know why you're writing certain code. I'll try to brain dump very, very quickly on why this is. Everything in software it depends. Everything. Because everyone's use case is a little different, right? So when someone asks you why you chose this over this, right, you need to have conviction of why you chose one way or the other, right? And I'll tell you what the wrong answer is. I don't know. That's the worst possible answer you could give. Outside of like trying to make something. Does that make sense? If the answer is that's the only loop that I know, that's great. That's great for right now. But you need to know why you chose something. Does that make sense? If I ask you, hey, why you chose to use this library or use this class or separate some of this code and import it, you need to know why. And you need to start now. Does that make sense? Because going back to the thing that I said, everything in programming is it depends, right? People are going to ask you why you did something, and you need to have a good reason. Now, you may not always agree, right? I don't agree with a lot of people at work sometimes, right? But I know why I disagree with them, and they know why they disagree with me. Disagreeing is not a problem, but not knowing why you did something a certain way is. That's true. What Justin said right there in the chat is true. You'll never agree. I always think I'm right, believe it or not. And not everyone agrees, right? And we get into it, and that's totally fine, right? But you need to know why you wrote something the way that you did. Does that make sense? Yes, yes. I know I am kind of hard on you, some of you, right? But it's because I do want you to learn, right? And you're not going to learn it by just looking up something and just copying and pasting it, right? You need to really struggle through it. That's the only way you're going to learn. Does that make sense? Yes?
Yep.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Go ahead.
I was looking in the curriculum and it was just like, it felt a lot easier and more simpler to use the while loop for the 99 bottles one.
That's your answer. That's totally fine. Just like if that's the only loop that you know, that's fine, right? But when I ask someone, hey, why did you use a recursive solution? Then they don't know, right? That's a huge problem, right? Because I know it's very rarely, if ever, going to be an optimal solution. So that's not it, right? So if that's not it, your solution better be your answer to that question needs to be really, really good. Because it's not the most optimal solution. It's going to waste a lot of compute. So your reason better be pretty awesome. Because that's the only way it's going to fly. Make sense?
Is there a standard here? Because I think I hung around last night when we were asking some questions after, and it was kind of proposed like, hey, at the end, can we loop back through and cover everything, close the loops on questions or things people struggled through? And then, you know, it was kind of like, hey, it's on a case by case scenario. But I liked how we were able to close back through tonight and go over it all. We haven't done that always, and it helps me learn for sure in that regard. So I was just curious.
I will pitch that to the other instructors, and I actually did a half-assed job just because I got caught up in some of the break rooms, but that's just the way that it is. I will always try to, and I'll tell the other instructors too, to kind of go over how they would have solved them. Right now, it's actually kind of easy because the problems are very short, right? But sometimes the problems will be very big, right? We won't always be able to do that. But yes, I will definitely post that in the instructor channel right after this.
Thank you.
Yep. That's all I have. That's 9:30, guys. I don't want to keep you any longer. Have a wonderful night.